What's your passion? Are you an artist? Do you have a natural talent in the kitchen? Maybe you've got an idea that could be the next game-changing app. Or maybe you're a vlogger with hundreds of thousands of followers. Whatever your passions may be, one of the biggest thrills is seeing that passion fuel your dreams. We get into the mind of lawyer and entrepreneur Paolo Villonco, whose venture studio is igniting a lot of passion and getting dreams fired up.
Welcome to Ignition Venture Studio.
Nice, thank you. I love the space. It doesn't look like a typical corporate office.
It's really built for collaboration, this new way of working. Lots of people now like this open space feeling.
The energy was palpable as I walked through Ignition Venture Studio. In its sprawling space are pockets of productivity. Individuals and groups focused on exciting innovations and enterprises.
The Ignition Venture Studio is this new concept that was really inspired by the Stanford Venture Studio. It links students and alumni and faculty. It gives them a community to collaborate with. But it's evolved so much more than just my concept. It's really a marriage now between partners and also our own community.
Together with his partners, Paolo has created an enterprise that is much more than a shared workspace. It's a community of like-minded and productive entrepreneurs and professionals that complement each other and work together to pursue business projects. As co-founder and CEO of Ignition Venture Studio, Paolo's mission is to ignite the Filipinos' entrepreneurial spirit and fuel an innovation-driven economy. Why did you feel there was a need for this kind of business?
We're not short of innovative, creative people. But the problem really is to get traction. I've met a lot of people that have great ideas that want to explore entrepreneurship, but it's really the ease of doing business that deters them.
I'm a lot of things, but what I am not is an accountant and a lawyer. My brain just doesn't work that way.
People who come to Ignition for help can rely on them to worry about government and tax compliance, legal concerns, bookkeeping and payroll processing, while they focus on what excites them most: building their brands and their businesses.
We are an enabler. A lot of these entrepreneurs, they're weighed down by all these non-core but essential tasks. We try to take that all away from them.
There have been a lot of collab spaces opening here. We see so many co-working spaces around Manila. What makes Ignition different?
I think people are all focused on physical space. We're focused on building an ecosystem. The way entrepreneurs experience Ignition, experience how to do business in the Philippines is very different. We focus on integration. We focus on making it very easy for them to start a business. Our community members tell us they love the fact that they can be crazy, that they can share ideas and they won't be seen as insane. It's a very open-minded environment.
The community is so open-minded and inclusive, in fact, that it welcomes innovators from a wide range of fields.
We're also developing product for other SME markets, like the creatives. We have a lot of artists here. And when I say art, it doesn't mean just visual art, but culinary artists, what we call chefpreneurs, graphic designers, even the fashion industry. It's quite exciting, and we have a broader definition of a startup.
I noticed you have a lot of art pieces. Tell me about the art.
We were just so blessed to early on have a personal, very good friend of mine, Jetro, when we were conceptualizing the space, the vision of Ignition. He listened and made art just for the space. He also gifted me with the Vitruvian Man. He envisioned that our new renaissance for Filipinos and that people like Leonardo da Vinci shouldn't be boxed in terms of what they think they can achieve, because Da Vinci was a scientist, he was an artist, an industrial engineer.
Really the Renaissance man.
Exactly. Every month, we feature different artists. But what's so special about it is, unlike galleries, this is not a core business of ours. And what we want to do is just help creatives get access to different markets.
No commission or anything.
Yes.
It all goes to the artist.
That's right.
Fair trade for artists is just one of the many ways Paolo is democratizing entrepreneurship. You say your mission is to democratize entrepreneurship. Can you explain that?
From what we've seen on the ground, and a lot of these entrepreneurs have approached us, When they see new business concepts and they see the founders behind it, they come from families that are engaged in business. They may be a new entrepreneur, but they have access to law firms, they have access to accounting firms, ad agencies. But what about entrepreneurs that have great ideas, but they don't come from a business background? They often feel lost, alone, and they don't have access to quality advisors.
Yeah.
When I say democratize, we want to bring these traditional services delivered to enterprises.
As an entrepreneur, if you're Batman, we're your Alfred. So that means that we take care of your Batmobile, we take care of your weapons, we take care of your house, we take care of the Batcave, and we allow you to be who you are, Batman, and fight crime.
Mentorship or advisors are actually very important, not just even to startups, but to traditional businesses. That's even more important to startups where you have inexperienced entrepreneurs. You're always going to learn from experience. A mentor can steer you to the most optimal path. Why not use that? And we find that there's so many willing mentors. It's very comforting to know that a lot of the business community is looking for people to help out.
Turning this vision into reality hasn't been easy. Ignition Venture Studio is a constant work in progress for Paolo and his partners. But his own passion for the enterprise has fueled its momentum, making sure people understood what he was trying to build.
Paolo's very determined. It's more than a business to him. He wants to build something that will last beyond his life, beyond our lives. So something that we can say, hey, we really helped out, we made a mark and helped out the community. Our goal is to hear entrepreneurs come back to us one day and say, hey, you guys were there for me when we were starting out. Without you, we wouldn't be where we are now.
Starting Ignition is really like getting married. There are ups and downs, and the ups are the easy ones to manage. But I think as a team, we've really managed the downs very well. And Paolo is the anchor of that. The four partners were all very extreme. I'm a banker, there's another lawyer on the team, and another entrepreneur. Paolo is the one that brought us together, and I would say pretty much the one who balances us out.
When you launch a new idea, it's very hard to get people to fully understand it, and they didn't know what we were. Are we an office space? Are we a servicer? But I'm happy to say that after a month of operating, our community gets it.
Paolo has taken an idea, one he fiddled around with in his mind for years, and turned it into a thriving enterprise, a community with a lot of promise. His driving force, a passion to make a difference that he's nurtured since his youth.
It was this innate feeling to start something new, listening to my grandparents, trying to live a more impactful life. I wanted to create something.
Law seemed inevitable in Paolo's destiny. After all, he comes from a long line of lawyers, and his uncle was founder of the country's oldest law firm. At the Ateneo Law School, where he earned his law degree, he founded the Environmental Law Society of Ateneo. He then took up his master's at Stanford University and became the first Filipino Stanford Law graduate.
Was this a dream come true for you?
Up to now, it's hard to believe. Growing up, I actually wanted to get into the science field, and Stanford was a dream university of mine. I just feel very lucky to have that experience. Being the first Filipino was both a privilege, but I also felt a lot of pressure. To represent the Philippines to that academic community.
He earned his chops at the over a century-old Sigyon Reyna Montesilio Ongsiaco law firm.
It was really the foundation of my legal career. It gave me an opportunity to learn all the fundamentals, how to be a professional, taught me how to write, how to argue.
So you come from a family of lawyers. Was law always in your plan? Was it something that your family got you or kind of encouraged you to get into?
In fairness to my family, none of them really pushed me towards the profession. But of course, growing up around it was very insightful. I'm a naturally very competitive person. A career in law made sense from a competitive standpoint, especially the field I got in first, which is intracorporate litigation. So there's always this win or lose situation, which was thrilling for me.
Your grandfather was a lawyer, the great-grandfather as well. What did you take from them?
My paternal grandfather was an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. He is more of a risk taker. His philosophy is just go for it. You see an opportunity, go for it, and figure things out along the way. My maternal grandfather was more of a professional. He's a CPA lawyer. And he wants to dot the I's, cross the T's, a little bit risk averse. So in a way, like, it is a balance. As an entrepreneur and a lawyer, I'm sort of like a hybrid of both.
He remembers his great-grandfather, former Secretary of Education Manuel Gallego, with much admiration and awe.
They would call him the Don Quixote of his time. He would push all of these policies that were, in the views of other people, really up in the clouds.
Kind of like you now, isn't it?
Kind of like me right now, trying to introduce ideas and concepts that, might not be readily accepted. So I have a good mix of being creative, introducing new ideas, also being a risk taker as an entrepreneur.
Yes. Wow, what great combination. What made you decide to take that step from the career being in a law firm and then starting up a risky business like Ignition?
It was a huge turning point in my life, just diving from something that I've invested 7 years of professional life and probably 4 or 5 years of study into something totally brand new. It was this innate feeling to start something new, listening to my grandparents, trying to live a more impactful life. I wanted to create something, I wanted to build something and not just argue for someone else.
So it was about making a greater difference. You felt that strongly inside.
Yes. We really wanted to touch the lives of more people, try to help also on a bigger scale, transitioning the Philippines. If we as a people just get our act together, if we get organized, I know we can compete. One group that we're going to work with is the Center for Sustainability in Palawan. Their goal is to bring awareness to the indigenous peoples of Palawan. They're going to bring art pieces here.
His passion, which fuels Ignition and all his other ventures, is making a difference.
Now that you've been able to make an impact on small to medium enterprises here in the Philippines, how do you feel looking at what Ignition has accomplished and you see these clients, your community that you've built up?
Nakakataba ng puso. Especially from where we came from, where, the first few months was really crickets. We hit our 100 clients. It's an ecosystem. And to see how many people are willing to give whatever they can to build this ecosystem, to collaborate with each other, and to see it thrive, it's encouraging, and we're very optimistic about the future.
It's a passion that, in turn, is fueled by the energy of Ignition's thriving ecosystem.
Being around like-minded people, positive energy every day
It's your fuel.
Passion is so important. Having that relentless attitude is also important. I would like to say that we have the rock stars of the startup scene in the Philippines, striving to be innovative. That in itself, that energy, we feed off it. We're trying to help transition this country, our country, the Philippines, into an innovation-based economy.
The main product Ignition creates and offers to entrepreneurs and innovators is a dynamic community. In barely 2 years, Paolo and his team have brought together some of the brightest minds, collaborating to move our country forward. I was thrilled to meet and catch up with some of Ignition's rockstar entrepreneurs. One of them is Miguel Escueta of Frank and Dean Cafe and Kitchen.
After graduating from college, I was a full-time recording artist for about 5 years. And then after doing that full-time, you realize in the middle of recording, touring, and promoting, there's a lot of free time when you're not promoting anything new. So I thought of getting into business. We opened up Frank and Dean, which is about coffee.
Frank and Dean is a neighborhood cafe that collaborates with various communities and local artists. Their business culture fit right into Ignition's community.
Paolo and I go way back. And the main thing why we partnered up with him is not just because of the idea, but because of we believe in him and his vision. We're a very young company, still learning along the way. Sometimes you get lost in the day-to-day grind, the day-to-day sales, and just trying to get by month on month. what Ignition helped us with is really to anchor yourself on a vision. That vision is what keeps you driven day in and day out. The other thing is back office stuff. So they do our finance and accounting. And as an entrepreneur, as an artist, as a creator, diba, these are things that you really don't want to think
tedious.
about.
PDAX, the Philippine Digital Asset Exchange, is an enterprise that provides Filipinos a platform to trade digital assets like cryptocurrencies and tokens. They started out with 3 co-founders working out of Ignition Venture Studio, and today they're a quickly growing 30-man team still based here.
You feel very much entrenched in this sense of united effort. We are going to expand, this limited venture capital space here. We're going to become a different brand of entrepreneur that maybe the Philippines hasn't seen before, and we're all going to sort of do it together in this space.
These are just 2 of the 100 micro, small to medium enterprises, or MSMEs, that Ignition has guided through the journey of building a business.
Girls Will Code is a community that encourages other girls to take part in coding.
We think that this is the largest underserviced market for business solutions. Stats that I remember, almost 98% of enterprises are within the SME market. It's also an engine for growth. If you look at all these first world countries, their engine is really the SMEs. But we feel like there's a lot of roadblocks within this market.
Roadblocks that have slowed down the growth of new local businesses, establishing an economy largely dependent on service industries.
And I personally think that BPO or OFW, having these as your primary economic drivers is not sustainable. We shouldn't see that as an end-all. We should see that as a stepping stone to something greater. That is what we're trying to do. We're trying to help transition our country, the Philippines, into an innovation-based economy. Hopefully, in a few years, a world leader in certain industries.
Paolo believes the transformation is in the hands of innovators and scientists, inventive thinkers who can develop and create new products in the age of disruption. This is the idea behind a recent tie-up with the Department of Science and Technology that will bring high-quality business support and expertise from Ignition to the scientific community.
That's an exciting partnership. For us, it's a landmark. Our mandate to transform Filipino scientists into entrepreneurs. They get so caught up with all the other things that they have to do. They get afraid, intimidated, so we try to help them out with that. DOST and Ignition help educate these Filipino scientific communities, technology business incubators all over the country to roll out these seminars and workshops that not only focused on finances, but design thinking as well.
The vision is to develop technopreneurs, scientists and innovators who can also speak the language of business. After all, in a world of disruption, where technology is evolving at such a rapid pace, when one app can change the game, there's lots of room for new ideas, especially when they make good business sense.
For most people in the SME market, disruption might be a good thing because you're disrupting the status quo. You have the opportunity to level up. But when you look at these big, huge enterprises, they're afraid of disruption because they have market position.
It's a threat to their
It's a
business.
threat to them. Actually, there's this new way of thinking about disruption. These big enterprises are now also helping out, these new startups. They actually have funded incubators as well because they understand that disruption is inevitable.
How will Ignition be a key mover and game changer in the economy?
What we're trying to do are 2 things. One is probably extend our reach nationwide, slowly introducing our brand of service around the country. One other exciting thing that me and my partners are doing is trying to bridge our Filipino ecosystem to the global ecosystem. The more people we get to think about being leaders and not just followers, that is what we at Ignition, I think the whole community is looking forward to. Having Filipinos step into the world stage. Having Filipinos be acknowledged for being leaders.
As technological change and globalization reshape the economy, Paolo and his Ignition team are poised to disrupt the local business landscape by providing the space for dreamers to take their ideas to flight and empowering entrepreneurs to focus on executing their innovative ideas without being bogged down with the back-end hassles of setting up and maintaining a business. As we move more and more towards an economy driven by cold, distant, impersonal, and fast-paced digital technologies, Paolo reminds us of the importance of bringing kindness and compassion into everything we do and the value of personal relationships.
One of the most powerful conversations I've had was with my grandfather. I would ask him what was something that you would say made you. He said his investment in relationships was really the number one thing for him. If you've invested in the right relationships, in protecting your reputation, people will always give you opportunity. That's what I live by, and I also understand the world of entrepreneurs. It's a roller coaster, but if you handle yourself properly, if you take care of your relationships, you can always build yourself up.